Don't miss David Clark and James O'Keefe at Freedom Summit 2018. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We'll continue to keep you updated on our big story. Amy and other aging prom queens gathering together on pickup.
Homecoming queens.
Oh, homecoming queens, excuse me. Aging homecoming queens.
Yes.
Yeah. Pickup trucks this evening at Hershey High School. So you want to come out for that.
It's a parade around the, oh my God. It's a parade around the track. Mm-hmm. And we're in pickup trucks. Hopefully people can get on the pickup truck. And then they put it, if you're,
they should really
if
have
you're
one
a queen
of
in the 1970s, you're on this car. If you're from the 80s, you're in a different pickup truck. 90s, 2000.
You know what they should have? They should have pickup trucks from the respective era to really make you feel your age. All right. Our other big story.
And I will be tweeting that picture out of my homecoming queen because the king looks a lot like Brett Kavanaugh.
Was it Brett Kavanaugh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was it Georgetown Prep?
Maybe it was Squee.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. Our other big story is about Brett Kavanaugh. You know, he's a Supreme Court nominee. I don't know if you've been following this story.
Yeah, I have been.
Yeah. Yesterday, DiFi reacted to the report that was necessitated, one could argue, by her failure to disclose. But don't worry, she's not feeling any shame about it.
What I can say is that the most notable part of this report is what's not in it. As we noted by the White House, the FBI did not interview Brett Kavanaugh, nor did the FBI interview Dr. Blasey Ford. What we've heard from numerous people over the last few days seeking to provide information to the FBI. We have seen even more press reports of witnesses who wanted to speak with the FBI but were not interviewed. Deborah Ramirez's lawyer said he was unaware of any corroborating witnesses who were interviewed. Candidly, what we reviewed today in a very limited time, I was there, I had to leave, the report is in parts, and I had the opportunity to read some, but not all of it.
Yeah, well.
Oh, some, not all. It's 45 pages.
The staff can
too much
read the rest to her.
For her granny eyes?
Yeah, over, while she's doing her water aerobics. The RBG workout, right?
Oh, yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
So that's a statement that she could have and probably did have prepared prior to the report being issued.
Yeah.
I mean, of course the Democrats were going to be unsatisfied by anything that doesn't have dispositive evidence of Brett Kavanaugh's guilt. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Tim Carney, who, of course, is a senior political columnist at the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Tim, thanks for joining us. Is Chris Coons right that Kavanaugh will likely be narrowly confirmed?
I think so. That's sort of the despondent attitude of the Democrats. There are question marks. Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flake are two big ones. Susan Collins seemed to be giving positive indications. But the fact is that I actually agreed with Flake a week ago when he said that we need a little more time to look into this. The testimony of Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford before the Senate committee was helpful, but to have the FBI talk to other people that we hadn't heard from the other witnesses of this supposed attack, I was unsure. We didn't know where to come down on this issue at the Examiner. And then, like Flake, I wanted more time. We got the FBI investigation. They found zero to corroborate it. And so I think that you've got more certainty and conviction on behalf of the Republicans there that this was basically a smear attack and an uncorroborated, uncredible accusation.
Do you think they interviewed the right people? I mean, they said that they interviewed 10. 7 of them we know. The woman that was allegedly with her at the party, PJ, the whole cast. They didn't interview Ford or Kavanaugh. But do you think there's somebody else that should have been interviewed, or did they dot all the I's and cross all the T's?
The thing about it's really almost a telling mindset when the Democrats are saying they are complaining about not interviewing Ford and Kavanaugh. on one level, you could just say, oh, this is cynical complaining. They're going to object to anything that came out. That's true. But on the other level, the Senate wanting to outsource its own job to the FBI is what's most telling here. This is not that the left sort of believes more in a permanent state that should carry out everything rather than in the democratic process. The Constitution makes it clear that the advising consent responsibility falls on the Senate. The Senate has the ability to conduct investigations. The Senate did investigate. It interviewed Kavanaugh multiple times under oath. It interviewed Ford under oath. It got her there as quickly as possible. It offered her many things. The fact that what they were using the FBI for was to supplement what the Senate had already done. And the Senate didn't have the ability to bring forward these people who really didn't want to go in public. So that's where the FBI went. So to criticize them for not doing that, for not interviewing these two again, is senators saying, we don't want to do our job. We want the FBI to do our job for us.
Much is being made today of the op-ed in the Wall Street Journal by Brett Kavanaugh, sort of a good housekeeping. I'm going to be impartial, and I
apologize.
My temperament's fine. I was too sharp with idiot senators, blah, blah, blah. The real important op-ed for me yesterday that was published from another Brett Stevens, the New York Times, who's an ever-Trumper, who is like with John Paul Stevens, wants to repeal the Second Amendment, but he writes, for once I'm grateful for Trump. And he talks about moments that crystallized his view over the last week in support of Brett Kavanaugh. One of the 4 moments he cites, listening to Cory Booker explain on Tuesday that ultimately it doesn't matter if Kavanaugh is guilty or innocent because enough questions had been raised and it was time to move on to another candidate. And he breaks down that rhetorical sleight of hand. He also mentions Swetnick's salacious and conflicting allegations. But in terms of Booker, Blumenthal, Harris, Feinstein, White House, Coons, Hirano, the Democrats overplay their hand on this?
I think they did. And what's more, I think it was an utterly shameful display. Now, you guys know I cover politics. I've been here for 20 years. I don't have high expectations of politicians. This was the worst moment I've seen in American politics. That the willingness to utterly smear a man. I think to take seriously Christine Blasey Ford's accusations was right and proper. Then to roll out the Ramirez and Swetnick accusations, to press him on everything, then to say we know he's guilty, which is what Mazie Hirono said. That I don't need to hear from him. I believe her. She's right. And then to turn around and say, wow, you're getting kind of angry there, man. That's inappropriate.
Yeah.
It was, and the lies and dishonesty that you saw from the Democratic senators on this was the worst moment. And we know why. Because they fear, and I don't think they should be convinced of this, but they fear that Brett Kavanaugh will be a fifth vote to dramatically limit Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey, which invented a constitutional right to abortion. And so they are willing to do whatever means necessary. Politicians have political capital, and they want to spend it where it's worth it. And protecting Roe from a serious threat is they're willing to spend all of their reputation because that's the most important thing to today's Democratic Party.
Yeah, and they have no sense of the precedent-setting nature of their conduct. For example, I mean, people see what they did, where they tried to make up in volume what they lacked in corroboration for any of the single standalone allegations. Their lack of interest in due process, their lack of interest in presumptions that undergird our justice system and the basis of the rule of law in a free society. People see that, and the polling suggests they see it. For example, generic ballot among suburban women, a Marist poll, in the last 30 days, it's gone from plus 35 Democrat to plus 14 Democrats, bringing a lot of Republicans back into the fold.
No, and that's right. I mean, this is going to be a real galvanizing moment. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I check Facebook and see how half of my Facebook friends are reacting, I said, okay, I might put up some dog pictures or baby pictures there, but I'm not talking about politics on Facebook anymore. and that the Democrats, if we're just to look at this from raw politics, the Democrats already had the enthusiasm. You saw it the day after inauguration when you had tens of thousands of women marching with pink hats. They have the enthusiasm. Trump every day refuels that fire with things he says that either aggravate them or aggravate me and are absolutely horrible as far as his comments go. So he has been fueling that fire. What Feinstein and Ford's lawyers and Planned Parenthood did here was throw fuel on a pretty tepid Republican frame to remind people how no holds bars these Democrats are, that they will do whatever it takes by any means necessary to win. And that sort of the pretensions of rules, of process, of politeness are all a lie. That's exactly what gave us Donald Trump. That people said somebody like Jeb Bush or even Marco Rubio is going to try to fight the left by rules that the left is not going to play by. And when these fights came out, that's when people say, okay, we need Trump to be the leader of our party. That's what Stevens is saying in that column. And I don't think these are positive developments for democracy. I think now we know we're going to have Supreme Court trickle down to 8 or 7 if the president's party is out of power. And then maybe it'll go up to 11, 13 members when the president's party is in power. It's going to be, the rules are out the window now.
All right, I wanted to ask you back to the Kavanaugh vote. Republican Senator Steve Daines, his daughter is getting married tomorrow, Saturday in Montana. Well, every vote counts, so what is he going to do? Because he is a Kavanaugh supporter.
So if you had a full 100 senators, and 51 are Republicans, and one switched from yes to no, you'd be at 50-50. So say that's Murkowski. So then it's 50-50 with 49 Democrats and Murkowski. If Daines is not there, and he'll be there today but not tomorrow, then you're at 49-50. If it's 50-50, Mike Pence casts a tie-breaking vote and Kavanaugh's confirmed. If it's 49-50, there is no tie-breaking vote. He goes down. And so what is probably going to happen then is that if there's one Republican who flips to no and no Democrats flip to yes, then you'll have to wait until Sunday when Daines returns and then hold the vote, and it'll be 50-50.
Yeah, right. The Daines going to his daughter's wedding is not going to be what tubes Kavanaugh's nomination.
It was
confirmation.
Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is way too capable
Yes.
to let something like that happen.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're still talking about Senate Republicans. Was it Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham's choice for him to be the point man on this, or did this just sort of happen organically?
So Lindsey Graham legitimately got angry. The thing is, if you look over Lindsey Graham's history, he has done a lot of bipartisan work with Democrats. And he has gotten flack about it every once in a while. And he has stuck out his neck to work with Democrats in a political environment where Mitch McConnell hasn't always appreciated it, where a Republican base has considered it a negative to work with Democrats. And so he has taken risks to work with the other party, believing there was some goodwill there. And when he saw the farce that was the Democrats' treatment of Brett Kavanaugh, it was real righteous anger on his part. He was angrier than Kavanaugh in some ways because, again, he's acted as if the Democrats are a party that possesses political goodwill. And so I think that anger is what made Lindsey Graham become a leader on this.
Hopefully he's now disabused of that false premise from which he was previously operating. He is Tim Carney. He is the senior political columnist for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Always check out that outlet daily. Tim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer.